every athlete, every person, every human being has an opportunity. Some opportunities don't come when you want them. But if you're prepared, good opportunities can happen. Always be ready, because you never know when your number is gonna get called.
I'm not coming back.
EMI Apparel. Encourage me. I'm young.
Calvin T. Mann, leading EMI, served over 20,000 youth through speaking, coaching, and mentoring. He has inspired us for years. Welcome to EMIYTV Podcast with your host, Calvin T. Mann, the Encourager.
Good afternoon. Glad to be in. Welcome to EMIYTV. Put Your Family First podcast. I'm gonna really kick this off like well, we waiting on Mona to get in, and we're gonna kick this off with, y'all might wanna, for all you people out there, right, that likes to do research, for all you, please do yourself a favor and go read Project 2025. While you're being distracted by all the court dates and everything, you need to read Project 2025. I cannot tell you, you need to see it for yourself. And if you're if you're emotional and be like, my vote don't count and all that ignorant stuff, hey, you got to come up out of that. So make sure you take the time to read Project 2025. Reading is life. Read. So, again, good afternoon, Monique.
Hey, good afternoon.
And Heather. How are you guys doing today?
Oh, good.
Good. I think we're gonna have a show today.
Right. And since this is our conversation around our elders, I thought we'd look at it from a different perspective today. Looking at it through entertainment, games, and fun. I got a list of 64 of the top games for seniors and elders, but that could be fun for everybody. So if you have seniors and elders in your life, that's your coffee, Calvin. I think knowing some of the games that might be fun to learn because they may already be skilled in those games, but also having some games in mind when you go spend time with them. So there's a lot that can be said over a good game of cards, over a good game of Simon, which is a good game, which I know that's probably dated for a lot of our younger people. They probably don't know too much about that game, Simon. Not Simon Says, but the actual electronic Simon game. I still love that game. You can only get so far, so many rounds with that Simon game. So for those of you who might be a little younger than the game itself, it's a game that it's like a copycat game. And so it gives you a pattern to push the colors and the sounds, and you have to get it exactly in the same order that is given to you. And so it's kind of a mimic and memory game. So it's fun. I got it from my parents a couple of years ago when my parents started having some issues with their memory. But playing that game with them, not only was it fun, but it also helped to stimulate their thinking and their memory, just like mine, because some things you start to slip on yourself. So that we can keep our own mind and memory sharp, because we have a lot of artificial intelligence. We don't have to remember passwords because there's an autofill feature on your phone and on your computer. When you're trying to remember a website, all you have to do is go back to your memory or start typing, and it types the rest, right? We have a lot of assistance that could be keeping us from doing our own thinking and exercising that part of our brain. So we don't want to get too far and too dependent or codependent on electronics to help us to maintain and to memorize things. Hey, Mona.
Hi. How are you?
Seems like forever.
No, it sure does. Hey.
We were just talking about some games. I got a list of games to play with and for. These are also great gift ideas if you're looking for gifts for your elders or seniors. So the list of games, and then the other thing that I wanted to bring to our attention is a list of movies. And I'm sure you guys have some too, but a list of movies where elders and seniors are highlighted, and it has the cast, the stars, and just some really good movies that you might want to watch, because I'm a good movie watcher. And so I bought those two things for us to talk about too.
Great. Awesome.
Yeah. So these games are the set of games. So although it's 64, they gave us some categories to break it down. So it's under puzzles, tiles, and board games. That's one category. Another category is video games. Another one is card games, dice games, word and number games, indoor games for large groups, and outdoor games. So these are the categories. So I'll just slide these in as we're having the conversation today. Mona, you got something for us today?
So I'm going to talk today a little bit about services that are provided for seniors.
Okay.
And I want us to have an understanding of the different types of housing for seniors that's out there, as well as services that are out there.
Okay, great.
So, as we know, as seniors get older, they live at home and they want to stay at home. And to provide home, it's best to keep them at home if you can, or if you can afford it, or if you have people to care for them at home. They do really well in their own home if their home is safe. Mm-hmm. So first of all, you have to make the home safe so they can live there and be able to get around well in the home. Meaning that they probably have to have accessibility. Mm-hmm. Meaning that they may have to have bars in the bathroom, ADA equipment, so that there's easy to get on and off the toilet, easy to get in and out of the shower, things that are accessible for them to walk around the home. If the home is not accessible, then the home has to be made accessible, and that can be a cost factor.
Yes, for sure.
That costs a lot of people a lot of money to be able to make their homes accessible.
Yes.
If you're looking to have somebody come into the home to do care, it could be anywhere up to $30 an hour.
Okay.
So it depends, but there's a Medicaid waiver that pays for people to come into the home to provide services in the home that you can apply for. But if you're not on Medicaid, then that's another problem in itself.
Okay. So that's Medicaid, not Medicare.
Yes, and
Medicaid, please.
The difference between Medicaid and Medicaid is if you're indigent or you have a low income, you can apply for Medicaid, and Medicaid will pay for medical care. They'll pay for time in a long-term care facility. They'll pay for your briefs, your medications. It's usually if you have $2,000 or less in assets. Okay. You are allowed one car and one home in the state of Michigan. Any other assets you're not allowed.
Okay, that would include like stocks. What about life insurance policy?
Life insurance, they do allow you to have a life insurance policy. They do allow that, and they do allow you to have a prepaid funeral. So if you have a funeral that's planned already, if a child has, they will still allow you to be on Medicaid.
Okay, good. That's good information.
And Medicare is something that's an entitlement. We're all entitled to Medicare because we pay into it. Every month every check, we start paying into Medicare as we're a younger adult. And and they say in the future is that you hear all the time there's not going to be Social Security, there's not going to be Medicare. But we've all paid into that. So that's an entitlement, but Medicare pays, it's our benefit when we're older after 62 or 65, if we choose it then, to pay, and it's usually our primary insurance. And you can use HAP or you can use Blue Cross as the primary, but usually in most cases you're better off to have Medicare as your primary insurance, because Medicare will actually pay more than some of the HAP, or it'll pay more of the co-pays and things. And then it's accepted everywhere. So Medicare is an entitlement. But if you're in a skilled setting, Medicare will only pay for 21 days. It could pay up to 100 depending on the diagnosis.
Oh, wait a minute. Go back to the 21 day.
So the 21 days is if somebody's had a stroke or they've had a condition, and they have to go to the hospital, and once they leave the hospital, then they have to go into a skilled setting. That means a nursing home or a rehab center.
Okay.
They usually keep them for about 21 days.
So regardless of their progress?
It's all depends on their progress. If they're making a lot of progress, they could keep them longer.
Okay.
If they're not making progress and they baseline, then they can discharge them. And then that becomes another problem in itself, because once they're discharged, they either have to go home or they have to go find another placement, which means in that time they could, if they're Medicaid eligible and they can apply for Medicaid, then they could stay in a nursing center or a rehab center, or they would have to go to assisted living or go back home or a group home.
Okay.
So, and that's what I was going to explain, the different levels. So, as we said, a nursing home is a home that's actually skilled. A skilled nursing home they have physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, and people go there to rehab rehabilitation. And once they're there the 21 days is up. Physical therapy, they will have a conference and they'll discuss how well the person's doing. Sometimes they'll extend the Medicare and they can stay longer in the skilled center, but in most of the time they have to be discharged. Unless they have Medicaid and there's a Medicaid bed available. If there's a Medicaid bed available, they can stay in the center indefinitely if there is a bed available.
Oh, okay.
So that's the difference. It provides 24 hours of care, 3 days, every day of the week. There's nurses around the clock. It's all monitored by an administrator, a director of nursing. There's a whole staff of people that monitor it, and there's a doctor, and it's all ran by nurses. And there's also aides, CNAs, they call them, certified nursing assistants. They don't hire anybody that's not been trained in the skilled nursing home.
Awesome. What can you talk about so you talked about some of the benefits. What are some of the challenges?
Challenges are that for the resident, they feel like that they're just there forever. The families feel neglectful, that wow, I should have taken care of my mom and not brought her to a skilled nursing home or not brought her to a nursing home. It's the taboo word, or you put your parent in a nursing home. Or you put them in, you've left them there to die. And then some people do. Some people don't come back and see their parents. They have a hard time dealing with it. They have a hard time dealing with seeing their parent the way they are. And then a lot of times in those settings, there's other people that are there that have schizophrenia, or they have significant diagnosis like MS, muscular sclerosis, or something, that they need total care. And those are nursing homes, are places that they can go to live, and they're not all bad. I mean, there's some really good ones out there, and they're monitored by the state of Michigan. The state of Michigan, it's the most highly regulated industry in the country besides the atomic bombs.
Wow. Now, I didn't know that.
Yes, I mean it is. It's very highly regulated. The state comes in on a regular basis. They come in and do an annual survey in the nursing home. Then, they come back if there's any kind of citations, and then they come back again until they clear, and they can come back if there's a complaint. Okay. So the state actually is, they make sure that the facility is doing what they're supposed to do. And they actually protect the residents. They protect the residents' rights. They help to protect their dignity. They teach the staff about abuse and neglect. So the state is there to make sure that the staff is doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Okay, thank you for that. Because I'm sure there are a lot of a lot of families out there, they either are facing this as a life change and life challenge for their elders, or even for themselves, because you don't have to necessarily be an elder to be in
No.
skilled care, right?
You can be a younger adult that might have, have had a diagnosis, or might have, and it could be the place that you live for the rest of your life.
That's what happened to Oba. The character from my children's book, Oba, lived in the actual person's name that I named the book after. He was in a facility till he passed.
And it's so important that those facilities provide good quality of life in those centers. Make sure that the home is beautiful, well taken care of and clean, making sure there's great meals, making sure there's a lot of activities and programs and things for them to get involved in, so that they can, recreation is so important, not only for and to be able to individualize themselves and say, these are the things that I like, and these are the things that they have their own space, and that's their own area, and it's decorated the way they want it, and be able to express themselves, so that's, it's a part of their quality of life.
Absolutely. That's really something important to keep in mind. So you were telling us about the different types of facility living.
So an assisted living is different. An assisted living is they're providing assistance with your activities of daily living. Now they're not they are monitored by the state, but there's not as many rules and regulations as it is. It's a private pay. So there's not in the assisted living here in Michigan, Medicaid does not pay for assisted living in Michigan.
Okay.
There is a Medicaid waiver that some buildings have, but most facilities here in Michigan do not have, that will pay a percentage. Or if you're in assisted living and you're a veteran and you fill out for veterans payments, it could pay $1,200 to $1,400 a month for veterans. Or if you have long-term care insurance, it will reimburse the resident or the family for the long-term care insurance, for the payment. And assisted livings could range from $4,000 to $10,000 to $20,000 a month.
Yes.
So it can be very expensive, and you see them popping up everywhere. They're just in every corner. They're beautiful. They look like the Hotel Hilton. I mean, they're gorgeous. There's all kinds of. There's pools and hot tubs and billiard rooms and movie theaters and beauty shops, and there's all these beautiful things.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's still about the care and making sure that the care gets done. And in assisted living, they're assisting. They don't have to be skilled like CNAs. They could be people that are trained to do the job, and they're called med techs and care partners, and they provide the care for the resident, and they assist them, because the resident still has to be able to transfer, be a 1 to 2 person assist. Meaning that, I do know that some assisted livings do offer Hoyer lifts. Do you know what a Hoyer lift is? It's a Hoyer that lifts people. But most of them do not, because that's more of a skilled setting. And when you get into that, it's very dangerous. So most assisted livings try to work towards having people that are 1 to 2 person assist. So it's easier to transfer them onto the wheelchair, into the shower, and that they're still doing stuff for themselves in a dignified manner. Whatever any skills that they have, you want them to maintain the skills that they have. So if they can wash their hair, if they can wash their body, if they can, if they eat independently, all those kinds of things are a part of independence. And being in an assisted living, maybe they just need assistance because they need medications. Or maybe they need assistance because they need somebody to help them with their shower. Or maybe they need assistance because they're incontinent. So there's people with all different levels of assistance. And then within the assisted living, there's assisted living with a memory care. So you'll hear memory care. It's not Alzheimer's anymore. It's not Alzheimer's unit. You've heard that in the past. That's that terminology. It's not it anymore.
So Alzheimer and dementia?
And they call it memory care now.
Okay, so we don't use those terms.
Well, it's still the same thing, but what it's saying is somebody that lives in a memory care, it might not be somebody that has dementia. They could just have some memory loss. But they could have Alzheimer's too, but it could just be somebody that has a lot of memory loss. Okay. So it just kind of varies. But most of those people in assisted living that are in memory care still they transfer, they walk around, they talk. They go to the bathroom on their own. Some of them might need some reminders, It's a lot of reminding and a lot of cues, supervision and redirection, but it's not like all the physical care that you would do in a nursing home where you would be anticipating the care and doing 24-hour care. You still have to do care in assisted living, but it's a different level.
Right.
So, but it's very costly.
It is very costly. Yeah. When you mentioned the resort-like spaces, I remember when we were trying to find independent living for our parents, because the home that my parents grew up in and grew us up in had stairs. And neither one of my parents were really, it wasn't safe for them to be able to go. The laundry room was downstairs in the basement. The bathroom was upstairs. The bedrooms were upstairs. They spent more time downstairs. But them both navigating the steps was really dangerous for them.
Very dangerous.
And so we had to find an alternative. And it took time just to get them to be open. Mm-hmm. And my mother was, she was most ambivalent about going to feeling like she was going to have to live in a long-term care facility. And she was really, really concerned about that. And she kept saying that the apartments, the independent living apartments that we were looking at were nursing homes, and she couldn't get over until she actually started to go and see them with us. And when my parents went and they started seeing how active the people were in that community, she's like, "Oh, we can do this," because they had like a 50s dance at one of them, and that was like the next event that was coming up. She was like, "Well, we got to be moved in before the dance happens," you know. Yeah. So and the fact that they were together, my mother and my father were still together when they went into that independent living, was really helpful for both of them.
Yeah, independent living is beautiful. Just like you said, there's so many things, and they're so active in independent living, and they have so many. The same thing with assisted living. Both of those type of categories, there's so many things for them to get involved in, and so many meet people, and they have all kinds of intellectual programs as well as recreational programs.
Yeah,
and then a lot of times seniors will say, "Well, why did I wait so long?" Because once they get involved, once they go there, they really like it. And you don't want them to miss that window of opportunity. It was good that you caught them when you did,
right,
because they might have still stayed at home, and she found it to be totally different when she got there.
Right. So that was a huge part. But staying open and transparent and sharing our concerns. As a family, we had to have family meetings about it. And also we had to move into, my sister and I had to get power of attorney. My mother she didn't want just one person to have it. That was part of her agreement, where she would cooperate if somebody else, it wasn't just one person making that decision. So when we got power of attorney, we were able to do some of the other things that my parents were not necessarily fully capable of making certain decisions. So we have the same thing with her medical power of attorney and for general power of attorney, so we could go to the bank, we could go and run errands for them when they couldn't do it on their own. So that is another, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah,
like?
There's different levels of durable medical power of attorney, or they call them a POA, it's a power of attorney. And that means that there is actually paperwork that you can just get at the Office Depot. And you don't even have to do it with a lawyer, but you can do it. You can pull it up with a lawyer that says, "I appoint Calvin to be my power of attorney. I appoint, Heather to be my durable power of attorney." Meaning that if something were to happen to me and I couldn't make my decisions, that you would make my decisions for me. And you can have one person be your financial, and the other one be your health, depending on, it can be one person to do it all.
Right.
Or it can be, you can have different family members that can be in charge of both.
Yeah, I think that for those family members who have aging parents or relatives or family, you could be siblings, that you have some of this information up front, because I've had, since my family had gone through, I had probably a good 10 or 15 friends who were also in that position and didn't know what to do. And and parents may have passed on, and nothing was really in place, so they had to go through probate, and it just erupted in a whole bunch of other extra.
And when
That's
probate
good.
gets involved, then the state makes the decision. So it's like it would be much better if a family just decided, talk to the parents about it in advance or made a decision together. Or then, a lot of times there's even where you have to go into guardianships. And guardianships, because there might be a family that's disgruntled or they're not getting along, so that sometimes a guardian will take over and make the decisions for the resident or the family member.
And that doesn't have to be a relative, right?
Right, doesn't have to be. No, a guardian. If it's state appointed, it would be somebody that, it could be a lawyer. It could be a legal company that does it. They call them a guardian ad litem, which is usually a lawyer.
Oh, okay.
But there's also, something else that wasn't mentioned was a DNR, do not resuscitate. And it's always important, when you're thinking of seniors is, at the hour that they were unable to breathe or they needed to be resuscitated, what would you do? Is that something, would you want to be kept alive? Would you want them to do everything in their power to keep you alive, or would you want a DNR? And that would be something that's really serious to talk to your family members about. If you were having a hard time breathing and you're in the hospital and they're asking you, well, what do you do? Would you want to be ventilated? It would be up to you. But what's your decision on that? Because everyone has their own rights to make those decisions. And a DNR is important to think about as well.
Yes.
No, we're going to a commercial.
Are you an indie podcast or content creator looking to reach a wider audience? Look no further. Introducing Podcastic, the ultimate podcast network designed exclusively for indie creators like you. At Podcastic, we believe in the power of unique voices and fresh perspectives. We're here to amplify your passion and creativity, connecting you with the growing community of engaged listeners who crave original content. Podcastic is more than just a platform. It's a support system built for indie podcasters, offering a range of resources to help you succeed. From tailored promotional campaigns to professional production assistance, we're here to help you shine. Our intuitive platform makes it easy for you to be seen and heard. We do all the heavy lifting for you. You just show up and create. Plus, with our advanced analytics, you'll gain valuable insights into your audience's preferences, allowing you to refine your content and grow your fan base. Ignite your passion, expand your reach, and thrive with podcasting. Visit our website at www.podcasticlife.com to get started. Podcastic, the home for indie podcasts and content creators.
Yes, and we are back with Mana, our elder care expert who's part of our team. So
Thank you.
welcome. And she was giving us really good information around things to know about elder living and some of the supports that are available. So continue, please.
So there's also another area that you can look into is group homes. There's group homes that are out there. And there's some beautiful homes. They're privately owned homes that people own, and they're licensed by the state of Michigan. And usually there could be 6 to 12 residents that live in them. They're usually what they call an AFC home, adult foster care home. And many of them do accept Medicaid. So some of them are very beautiful. Some of them are lavish. Some of them are smaller. Some are smaller country homes. Some are big, beautiful homes. And they provide 3 meals a day. They provide activities, they provide transportation to go places, they provide a nurse that comes in, they provide home care. So those are more of a home care setting. And that varies according to income, and it varies according to the private owner and what they choose to charge.
Okay.
So there's different ones in different areas, and you can look into those. It's not as structured as like a nursing home or assisted living. It's more of a home-like because it's smaller, but you're still living with other people, but in a smaller setting. So
I mean, that's another way to build relationships and continue to make sure that you have that social environment too, right?
And they do take them out on outings, and they do a lot of they cook the meals together. Of course, there's somebody in charge of the home for security. There's like a security person at night, along with the caregivers, and a nurse would come in to monitor, and somebody to do the cooking and the cleaning and the laundry. And the families, they live together as a family. So, but they're also monitored by the state and the Department of Social Services.
Oh, okay. Do they have the same, I know they're not the same exact kind of restrictions, but you talked about visits before and being regulated.
They're still regulated. They would still be regulated by any of those type of things are regulated by the state of Michigan, and they're going to have AFC regulations, which is adult foster care, and the license would be anywhere from 6. I mean, you could have less than 6 residents live there, up to 12 to 15, depending on the size of the home.
Oh, okay. So you can't. Do they have restrictions about how many people can be in a room?
Yeah, they do, and it depends on the size of the room. Usually, in most cases, they do 1 to 2 people per room, depending on how big the rooms are. They used to have wards back in the day. They don't have wards anymore. Okay. Now it's usually a 1 to 2. Sometimes there'll be like a husband and wife, or two ladies or 2 gentlemen will share. Have 2 twin beds. If there's a home of 6, there probably would be 2 in each room.
Okay.
Depending on the size.
Nice, good information. Thank you.
Well, it's heavily scrutinized, right? So it's they're coming in. I think a lot of people, when they start the process of looking at group homes and things like that, they don't have the information that you just shared. That this is a highly scrutinized, evaluated process. Closer to the atom bomb, like that's mind blowing to know. That you're going to always have to deal with somebody with the AFC and the seniors. Imagine if they took care of veterans that way.
It would be better.
It would be better.
Yeah, the veterans, there's just not enough care for them.
Right.
It's pretty deep.
It is. Yeah.
So do you have to use your veteran to get that Medicare and be?
No. If you have the veterans payment, if you're in an assisted living, will help pay for your stay.
Right.
So, but you still would have veterans insurance. So you'd still have the medical insurance, but it would pay for your stay. So that does help. And you would still have the Medicare part, but you would have your veterans insurance.
And that particular program, anything with veterans takes time.
Oh, yes.
It's not an immediate turnover. So I know we went through that for my father was a vet. And it was a difference in some of the benefits based on a wartime vet and a peacetime vet.
Right, and if you didn't go to battle,
right,
sometimes you're not allowed benefits.
Right,
it's really sad. But you're part of the service, but yet you didn't. Yeah,
they have even distinctions in the service.
Distinctions, definitely. Like if somebody was a Vietnam and they just didn't go to war, or they didn't go to Vietnam, they might not be offered the benefits.
That's terrible.
It is, and it shouldn't be like that. Shouldn't be scrutinized like that, but it is.
It is. I know because my dad didn't get benefits because the wars that he was in, they didn't consider a war.
Yeah, that's just sad.
Right. They said it wasn't considered a war. It was considered something lesser of a war than.
But it doesn't matter. He still served.
He still served.
It should be. What's fair is fair. If he served, he was in the military, he was part of it, he should be honored with those benefits.
Right.
Unfortunately, we're not to that point yet.
Right. That's a whole.
But why?
I don't know either. Because they have certain, like she said, they scrutinize the different battles or the different war.
And what they deem is more worthy of those benefits, and that benefit extending to.
But the way they treat them all, they make them all feel like they weren't worthy.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
That's terrible.
Yeah, that's why we have to make sure that we keep sharing information,
and that they're always honored everywhere.
Yeah.
Wherever you. I mean, we have a wall of valor.
Yeah, because they got a lifetime of memories.
Right. And you never know what they're going to experience from moment to moment. Because it could come up in the
any moment.
Any moment, they could have that postpartum feeling at any moment, or anything somebody said to them could strike it.
That's
it
right.
made my friend was he was bipolar. It changed his everything, and so he passed the bipolar into his daughter, and so him being part of Vietnam and all of that, coming home and. Next, discovering bipolar, it was several times like they had to go to his house. Like the police had to come to a house. He got his whole family in there. It snapped.
Post-traumatic stress disorder.
And and his family was blessed. When I tell you that the times, there were more than 20 times the police had been called where he had an episode.
Oh man! And they couldn't deal with it, I'm sure.
No, I mean, and the wife, the kids, everybody. Then when the child got older, and it kicked in and on her.
And it's so hard to regulate, those kind of diagnoses because you have to have medications for that. It's a chemical imbalance. Mm-hmm. And if the medications aren't correct, and especially with the postpartum, that's terrible. It's really hard to get a handle on.
Yeah,
that.
if he didn't take his medication, it'd go a couple of days, and then all of a sudden,
he'd have the highs and the lows with the bipolar.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Hey, everything would be on point, and then like clockwork, it could be a barbecue going down in the middle of the barbecue. Everybody got to get up and leave.
And it could be. He could have two things. It could be the bipolar, but it could also be that postpartum. So with him, you never knew.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Yeah. It was.
That's really deep.
It was tough. It was tough. Very deep. And then they were still married until he passed. Wow. She hung in there.
Good for her.
It was incredible watching her, but she hung in there. And then the daughter got it, and that was mind blowing to her.
Yeah, the daughter. Man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's senior living, senior people, things we do. Like we're talking about it right now. We just finished shooting the We Got the Help video. We finished it. We put in there all 3 wars. It was. We got to help. Like, we can't just be a society that doesn't help and all we do is point fingers and play games.
Right. We have to speak up.
We have to speak up.
We do. We have to speak up.
We do. It's crazy. I started this segment off, Mana, talking about Project 2025. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you know about that. Mm-hmm. You should read it.
You want to give us an insight into what it is?
It's the policy. If 45 gets the presidency again, these are the things that they're going to do, execute wise to society. And you got to read it. It is mind blowing.
Right. It's policy changes around education.
Everything.
It's policy changes around
everything.
Who makes decisions around the Supreme Court judges. Yeah.
Who wrote this book?
It's
the heritage people that support him.
It's a political group.
Okay.
Movement that is, and it's a huge movement, and it's highly funded. It's highly and heavily funded, and so they're saying that they want to take back and restructure the country. Yeah. I mean, it's heavy.
Some scary stuff.
It is. But I want to just take a moment to pause to remind people that we have to read, not skim, because skimming gives you missed information. If you're getting a flyer about an event, a lot of people just look at the big bold letters and make a decision and don't read the fine print. So maybe there's a cost at the bottom that you didn't see. Maybe you have to reserve a space. I mean, there are all kinds of details that we often miss because, again, as I mentioned earlier, we get dependent on the artificial intelligence that helps us to make our lives easier. But in making our lives easier, it takes away a lot of our own autonomy, that we're not doing some of the common things that would help us to stay clear of certain issues, right? So we have to be mindful that, especially things that are really important and things that say please read in total, read to the bottom. Like, we have to have those prompts now because often we don't know what we're signing. Mm-hmm. Even with the apps and things like that we're downloading, we're not reading all that information. And the people who have made that are counting on you not to read all that information in the fine print. So you might want to look at it, even if you decide to do it anyway, because some of the things that are in that fine print, if you don't read it, you don't know the things that you're signing off for.
And for seniors, the print is small, and they can't see it, and they might not even see it, and they might not understand it.
Right.
So if you're with your parent, it's important that you help them So to go through it, to really, and I have a tendency to be in a hurry. And guess what? We're all in a hurry. The society's in such a hurry. We have to slow down a little bit.
Yes, we do.
We do have to slow down and have a better understanding and read it clear and understand it even more. There's also more services that are out there that we should probably talk about. Like there's Meals on Wheels. And Meals on Wheels is a benefit that's free. And they have it in Detroit, Michigan. They have it all over in every city. And you can call the Area Agency on Aging. You can call Detroit Meals on Wheels. And they'll bring meals to your home. And they'll provide it. And they're good, cooked, healthy meals.
I was going to ask about how do they taste. Now, I know there was, it's another one that, I can't think of the name of them. It's another.
Well, there's Good Harvest. Good Harvest gives free food.
It's another one like Meals on Wheels, but you get it in a box. Mother's, I can't think of the name of but
My mom used to get Meals on Wheels.
My mother-in-law.
That's what my parents used too.
Right there in Ferndale.
It like gives you meals for a week.
Oh, okay.
And it's a program. You apply for it. And it can be taken out of your benefits. It's not something that comes out of your pocket. If you're coming out of the hospital or you're coming out of rehab, it gives you a whole box. I mean, and the meals are good. They have, I know because I actually tasted those. I wanted to know if they really were good. But I mean, they have a variety of meals. They have menus that you can select certain items from. But it comes to you. It comes to you all in one box. Everything you need. It's in that one box, and it's kind of a heat up, and eat. Yeah,
sounds a lot like Meals on Wheels. They'll bring. My mother-in-law receives Meals on Wheels, and she'll get her little container, and it'll have her meal. She'll get juice, and she'll get a dessert, and she'll get fruit, and she'll get dessert, just all kinds of a roll. And they usually come to her house about 3 times a week, so they'll give her enough for the whole week.
Okay. Each time they come, they bring.
They bring for a couple days.
Okay. Yeah. I think this one is. I want to say maybe it's once a week.
I want Chef on Wheels when I get there.
They do that.
Right.
They do that.
Yeah. Meal preps. meal preps too.
My husband does meal preps.
Oh.
Yeah. Andre does meal preps.
Oh.
He does. So then there's also, for senior citizens, there's also transportation out there. So you think that there's not transportation, but there is. There's the smart buses. Have you heard of the smart buses? And they'll take a wheelchair, and it's like $1. So it's very inexpensive. If you utilize a wheelchair van and you have Medicaid, oftentimes those are paid for if it's going to a dialysis appointment or if it's going to a doctor's appointment. But if not, it's private pay. It could be $70 to $170 an hour. Wow. So it depends on the insurance for a van. But a lot of times people use the smart buses.
Right. There's a MetroLift will also
MetroLift
provide that. And I like that. One of the benefits also, I think, with Medicaid is that if like you mentioned, if it's specifically that you're going to a doctor's appointment, then they can arrange to have you picked up and returned back home, to your door.
And they do it right to your door. And then if they're going to a facility, if you're in assisted living, or which some people have Medicaid if they're in assisted living, but they still pay. Maybe their family pays for their stay, but maybe they have Medicaid as a benefit. They'll bring them right inside and take them right to their apartment. Oh, and the same thing with the skilled nursing. So there is that benefit as well.
And I noticed, so I used to work with Oak Street Health.
Oh, yeah.
I was a community manager, and one of the benefits that they offered was that personalized transportation. They would pick you up and go, pick you up from your home and take you as part of the services that they offer as a health provider.
So she's saying it's for Oak Street or PACE or any type of program like that, you would have them. You would utilize them as a healthcare provider. So they would be your doctor, your nurse. They would come to your home. They would take you to programming. They would take you to your doctor's appointments, but they manage all of your health care.
Right. Yeah.
So they manage, and that's they're really great programs, but it depends on your insurances, and that's another thing they have to think about with those healthcare providers.
Right. Yeah, and that's I think those are more a different level of community-based programs when they have your full health management team in that one space.
And they would do the visits at the home. The nurse would come to the home. Maybe an aide would come to the home to do care. Mm-hmm. Then they would take them out to activities or programs and take them to their doctor's appointments. And then they come and do all the visits in the home.
Yeah.
And then from that level, then, of course, I don't know how much you guys know about hospice, but hospice benefits are pretty extensive now, and they've changed a lot. Back in the day, you'd mention hospice, and people thought they're going to pass away. That's not necessarily the case. Hospice is now also, people graduate off of hospice. It's also extra services are provided. It could be at the end of the life, but maybe you could live another couple years, but then you have these benefits that they can come in and they would manage your care. They could send in somebody to do, give you your showers, somebody to give you all your medical needs. They could send you to your appointments. They bring a social worker in. They send a chaplain into your home. So these are extra services and extra care that a family could receive from hospice. And sometimes people, like I said, once they're off of a lot of medications, they can graduate off of hospice. Back in the day, people thought, hospice is taboo, but that's not how it is anymore.
I like
And
that you
that's
say
good. Yeah, that's good to know.
graduate off of medication.
Yeah, then that's what hospice is a lot of times, because think of you're on 20 different medications, and you're on all these things, and one is you're getting adverse drug reactions because you're on something else, and you're getting another adverse drug reaction because you're on something else. If they take you off all that totally, a lot of times you don't need all that. That's causing a lot of issues with your health just because you're on so many medications.
That's right. That's right.
That's powerful.
Yes, thank you for making mention of us too, and all the resources that are there. So I do want to talk about, even no matter where your loved ones may land, our elders may land, you can still have fun.
Definitely, you can still have fun no matter what.
Right. And so I just want to go over a couple of them. So the puzzles, the tile and board games, some of those are pretty easy. So they have Sorry on here. They have Jenga on here. Bugs in the Kitchen is another game. Cranium, backgammon, chess, mahjong, checkers, dominoes. Those are some of my dad's favorites.
All the games that I went at.
You're the winner, huh? You're competitive.
Yeah.
So they have video games on here, but I don't see anything that looks familiar to me.
I lost the last couple of Scrabble matches, so she bragging.
She's bragging.
Yeah. Except for Scrabble.
Okay.
Right.
I lost the last two.
She knows the words.
I do too.
What's your
Yes,
strategy?
I've won.
You've won
a bunch.
Okay.
She just won the last two.
Okay.
She feels pretty good about her winnings.
We keep records.
Keep record on who's winning.
I'm dominating every game in the house, Mona.
For sure.
So this is one of the games that you might sound familiar to. The Crush Saga, that's one. Tetris is another one. These are the video games. It says AARP offers free online games too. It says they have a variety of card, puzzle, word, strategy, sports, and arcade games that you can get directly as a member of AARP. Whoop, whoop.
People really like puzzles. They like, keep a puzzle on a table, and anybody walks by can sit. It's kind of relaxing and just put a piece on the puzzle onto that.
Yes.
Even the staff, anywhere, like if you have a table that's aside, and staff, families, anybody will go by, and residents will sit and work on it forever. It kind of clears the mind.
The thing I got to start asking is, what's your senior discount?
Yeah, me too. I forget about it all the time.
Every time.
Me too. I always
that.
forget. And McDonald's has it. I mean, all these places have it, and I forget.
I had the
Me
whole
too.
list, right? But I don't visit those places like that. I just got to get accustomed to asking, right? Because, sometimes we go out, what is your senior discount?
And we just forget. We don't think of it.
And what age? Because I am a AARP guy now.
Yeah. And then, it's really important to keep physically active. So, I mean, even sittercise or jazzercise, yoga, chair yoga, stretching. Those things are really important. And they have a good time with each other, doing it together. So.
Yes. And dancing.
Dancing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's my mom's one of her favorite pastimes is dancing. She and my dad used to dance when at a drop of a hat because they grew up like that. Mm-hmm. They grew up when they were raising us. My parents spent a lot of time dancing, going out and dancing.
Mm-hmm. And then now you think of music like you're hearing now music of the 80s, the 70s and 80s in places. Because back in the day, when I first started in the field, I was hearing people play 50s and 60s music. Those were the seniors. Right. But now, the seniors of now are 70s and 80s music.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's really changing.
Well, we're there.
Right.
It's 80s music everywhere.
80s music. Yeah.
Because it's love music. It's so much more better. I get it. It's so much. Our music was so much more better. Can you imagine them singers with that 90s, 2000 music? Shake what your mama gave you. To have a video camera then.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, wow. So I have a little poem that I wanted to read because I wanted to thank people that are caregivers all over the world. I mean, it's a big deal when you're caregiving for whoever. It could be, you could be caregiving. You could be caregiving for your spouse. You could be caregiving for your parents, for your friends. Maybe you go into somebody's home. My mother-in-law has a caregiver in her home now. You could be caregiving at a nursing home, assisted living, and a group home. You could be a driver that's out driving people. Guess what? They're caregiving.
That's right.
You're a nurse.
So they don't
LPN.
have a National Caregivers Day?
They do, but they kind of separate it and make it Nurses Week, LPN Week. But this is I think of caregiving in general. So caregivers, you're one of the most special people.
Amen.
Who always take time to give. Who makes this world a better place just because you live. You try to care for others. You do the best you can. If everybody is in need of help, you're there to lend a hand. You never just ask for anything or want something in return. You're happy helping others and truly are concerned. I can't thank you enough. There's no sufficient words to say to someone who always gives and hardly ever takes.
Wow.
So there's so many caregivers that are out there, and they deserve so much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Many thanks.
Thank you. Well, this has been enlightening.
Oh, I just want to share some movies before we go.
You got 2 seconds.
2 seconds. One of my favorites is Calendar Girls. There's another one with Jack Nicholson and what's her name? Anyway, it's called Something's Got to Give. I like the movies.
I love that.
That talk about relationships between people because relationships are going to remain the same as you age. They're going to be relationships. And I think that's one of our last conversations, Mana, was around relationships and relations that we talked about in another show. But The Bucket List was another one with Jack Nicholson and Morgan Freeman. Another movie that I thought was really cool was it's called Reds. It was about the undercover. I don't want to call them assassins, but they were like a team of people.
Senior citizens.
Right. Another one. This is Fried Green Tomatoes.
Okay.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
That's a great one.
So tell everybody where they can.
You can reach me at Netflix. I'm just joking. You can reach me at yourinspiredjourney.com. That's yourinspired with a D, journey.com. You can reach me by phone at 313-759-7855 and call me so we can talk about some of the movies. I can give you a list of my favorite movies.
Hi, you can reach me, Mana Hanson Hill, at 248-619-5874.
You can reach me at kelvintman.com. This has been an enlightening conversation. Now I know for AFC homes are highly protected and senior living is highly protected. That was, again, mind-blowing. We understand that all our people are important, and so we have to do better in taking care of each other. As we will continue this series, it's always important for us to understand that our parents and our families and our aunts and our uncles, they need support and care too. As from a baby you come, it will be a baby you will return. I thank you for this time. My name is Calvin T. Mann. I'm the president and founder of Encourage Me I'm Young. You have been watching EMIYTV. We most definitely put families first. Peace.
Thank you.